Good morning, I'm Stephen Blue, the Director for Training here at the company, and I've been asked to speak a little bit today about training for international business project managers. The first thing you may be asking yourself is, why am I here? What did I do to deserve this? You may be in trouble for something else, I don't know, but that's not why you're here this morning. Before we get started, does anybody know why the company is in business?
Money! Get away! Get a good job with more pay and you're okay.
The goal of this company is to make money. That's the number one reason this company is in business. Not only do we want everyone in this country to buy our products and services, we want everyone in every other country to buy our products and services. In order to do your job, you will need to make sense of other people's culture. The study of global differences, once the province of social scientists and anthropologists, has made increasing inroads into the business community. According to the 2001 Global Relocation Trends Survey by GMAC Global Relocation Services, National Foreign Trade Council, and the SHRM Global Forum, 69% of the 150 companies that responded offered cultural training for their outbound employees, up 10% in 1 year and almost 50% in 20 years. We know what it takes to make money in this country. Management wants you, our international business project managers, to be successful in making our company money in other countries. We know people in other countries look differently than us. We know they eat different food, wear different clothes, speak in different languages. Even in countries that speak English and their people look like us, we have to realize that they were raised differently than us and they view our country differently than we view it. The future of businesses, and indeed of the world, may well depend upon people who think differently acting together. One of the first steps in developing a training program is to recognize that people learn differently. If we want to be successful in our training, we need to recognize learning styles and adapt our training program accordingly. As we're discussing learning styles, you may come to understand how you learn best. If others are not getting it, it may be because they don't know how they need to learn. Seven of the most common learning styles are visual, logical, verbal, physical, oral, solitary, social. In visual learning, you prefer using pictures, images, and spatial understanding. Logical learners, you prefer using logic, reasoning, and systems. Verbal learning, you prefer using words, both in speech and in writing. Physical learners prefer using their body, hands, and sense of touch. Oral, you prefer using sound and music. Solitary, you prefer to work alone and use self-study. Social learners prefer to learn in groups or with other people. Your learning styles have more influence than you may realize. Your preferred styles guide the way you learn. They also change the way you internally represent experiences, the way you recall information, and even the words you choose. Now that we are aware of the different learning styles, the three things necessary to minimize and prevent mistakes across cultures is, first, know your own culture. We recommend all international project managers brush up on their own culture before attempting to learn about another culture. If you know your own culture, it will be easier to relate to another culture. Second, be motivated to learn and use the knowledge you're gaining. The company needs your buy-in in order to make this training program a success. The third thing necessary to minimize and prevent mistakes across cultures is to implement the knowledge you've gained and behave the way that makes sense in the other culture, the one in which you want to do business. Like the Nike commercial says, just do it. Understanding and knowing mean nothing if you don't just do it. As part of our training program proposals, we have developed a 2.5-day program that identifies a participant's strengths and weaknesses and then provides a series of steps to enhance their cultural intelligence, or CQ. The steps are Step 1. The individual examines his cultural intelligence strengths and weaknesses in order to establish a starting point for subsequent developmental efforts. Our assessment instrument is one approach, but there are others, such as an assessment of a person's behavior in a simulated business encounter, and a 360-degree feedback on a person's past behavior in an actual situation. Hughes Electronics, for example, staged a cocktail party to evaluate an expatriate's manager's grasp of South Korean social etiquette. Ideally, a manager will undergo a variety of assessments. Step 2. The person selects training that focuses on her weaknesses. For example, someone lacking physical cultural intelligence might enroll in acting classes. Someone lacking cognitive cultural intelligence might work on developing his analogical and inductive reasoning by, for example, reading several business case studies and distilling their common principles. Step 3. The journal training set out above is applied. If motivational cultural intelligence is low, a person might be given a series of simple exercises to perform, such as finding out where to buy a newspaper or greeting someone who has arrived to be interviewed. Mastering simple activities such as greetings or transactions with local shopkeepers establishes a solid base from which to move into more demanding activities, such as giving an employee a performance appraisal. Step 4. The individual organizes her personal resources to support the approach she has chosen. Are there people at her organization with the skills to conduct this training, and does her work unit provide support for it? A realistic assessment of her workload and the time available for cultural intelligence enhancement is important. In Step 5, the person enters the cultural setting he needs to master. He coordinates his plans with others, basing them on his cultural intelligence strengths and remaining weaknesses. If his strength is mimicry, for example, he would be among the first in his training group to venture forth. If his strength is analysis, he would be first to observe events unfold and then explain to others why they followed the pattern they did. And finally, in Step 6, the individual reevaluates her new developed skills and how effective they have been in the new setting, perhaps after collecting 360-degree feedback from colleagues individually, or eavesdropping on a casual focus group that was formed to discuss her progress. She may decide to undergo further training in specific areas. More important than understanding why the company exists, or knowing learning styles, or cultivating cultural intelligence, is understanding that all project managers are not created equal. Even the best training program is doomed to fail if the international project manager does not possess a global mindset. We encourage the International Business Management Department to recognize that some project managers are built for international projects and others will do better at home. The global mindset has three main components: intellectual capital, or knowledge of international business and the capacity to learn; psychological capital, or openness to different cultures and the capacity to change; and social capital, the ability to form connections, to bring people together, and to influence stakeholders, including colleagues, clients, suppliers, and regulatory agencies who are unlike you in cultural heritage, professional background, or political outlook. The most effective international leaders are strong in all three dimensions. Once the International Business Management Department has identified the project managers with a global mindset and decided to implement the training recommendations discussed here today, it's imperative that there be a training continuum. Just as the social and economic environment in this country is constantly changing, the same thing is happening in the country where your project is or will be. In a global company, integration is an ongoing task. In conclusion, our training recommendations can only go so far. Much of its success depends on your department continuing to build on the potential synergies of cultural diversity. While interacting with our overseas business partners, your department project managers need to create awareness of the process of intercultural business communications and understand ways to communicate about culture and to communicate by using culture. We have provided several steps for cultivating cultural intelligence, and we discussed how to minimize and prevent mistakes across cultures. But ultimately, your project managers must develop an understanding of the dynamics of culturally diverse groups.